All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Cromwell Board of Finance public hearing for tonight. Before I read the notice and stuff here, I would like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Steve, can you lead us in that, please? Thank you, everyone. All right, for the public hearing for the 2026-2027 general fund budget. In compliance with Article 8, Section 8.04 of the Cromwell Town Charter, notice is hereby given the Board of Finance of Cromwell, Connecticut will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, April 2nd at 6 p.m. at the Town Hall Council Chambers regarding the 26-27 proposed budgets of the Town Council, including the debt service budget and the Board of Education. Copies of the proposed budgets are available in the office of the Town Clerk, 41 West Street, Cromwell, Connecticut, and the Town of Cromwell's website, www.cromwellct.gov. Actually, we've literally just changed that. All electors and those qualified to vote in town meetings may attend and offer comments regarding any budget item. The Board of Finance will begin budget workshops immediately after the public hearings on April 2nd. A budget workshop will be held the following Tuesday, April 7th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Belden Room in the Cromwell Belden Library, with a subsequent budget workshop scheduled for Thursday, April 9th at 6 p.m. if necessary, and I stress that, and the Town Hall Council Chambers for any unfinished 2026 budget matters for the Cromwell Board of Finance, John Ireland, Chairman, March 20th, 2026. So now that we have kicked off the public hearing, we'll turn it over to our two presenters tonight. We'll start with Dr. Macri and the Board of Education. Thank you for coming through tonight. Please provide us with your presentation.
Thank you for let's. Yes, okay. So just quickly, thank you for having us, and good evening, everyone. Before we get started, do you quickly want me to run through CNR with Claudio and the town manager Salvatore up here, or do you want me to just start with the presentation as we always do?
Yep, the public hearing is strictly for your presentation. We'll start getting into specifics and questions and all that kind of stuff after. So for right now, this will just be your presentation piece.
Okay, then I'm going to ask Mr. Bazzano, yes, and switch with Mr. Botwell.
Perfect.
And then as I call you up, ladies, you could switch chairs out because I have certain people coming up.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Okay, great. So again, good evening. Thank you very much. We are here this evening to present our Board of Education budget with our Board of Education members, our chair, Alicia Gaduti, and whoever else is here right now, because I'm not 100% sure, Mr. Chu, and our team. I want to thank everyone. This has been a tremendous amount of work, and I can't thank Mr. Butwell enough, because as we move through this and try to explain it to people so that it's easier to understand, he's just been phenomenal in finding approaches and ways to make that easier for you. So a huge thank you to Mr. Butwell and everyone who has done this work. So on the first slide, and I don't know who's, oh, sorry. Okay.
You're good?
Great.
Okay.
So do you mind, Sarah? Okay, Sarah, do you mind if I'll just say next slide? Is that okay? Oh, you can't. Okay, great. So I'll have, yeah. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Gaduti. Okay, so obviously, why are we here? Our first slide tells us why we are here, our students. And I'd love to start everything with them because they are the core of everything that we do. The next page, you've seen this before, it hasn't changed. The mission of the Cromwell Public Schools, which I love and I always loved, is placing students first with equity, meaning accessibility to all students. The next slide is Cromwell Public Schools goals, and we just give you an idea of what we're working on with our district leadership team and our district improvement plan so that you can see where our focuses are. Of course, we always want to work on increasing academic performance by providing teachers with high quality, personalized professional development. We want to support the implementation of a new grade 3 through 5 math program. We are going to begin the implementation of a K through 2 math program. So you heard a lot about literacy in the past, now you're going to hear a lot about math. And engage in best practices for professional development. Continue to develop our STEAM-driven curriculum for the new middle school, which has been incredible to see in action. Continue to collaborate with the town on building and facility upgrades and maintenance, which has been something I thought I would never see. So I thank everyone who is on that committee, and there's a few of them, so that we can continue to make our schools safe and welcoming to everybody. And then sustain programming supporting behavioral and SEL, which stands for social emotional learning needs of our students. So we're going to move forward and bring you to the part that you really want to see, the money. Budget increase by object. So we really want to show you this slide so that you can obviously notice, and you'll see it in a few different ways, and we're going to dig deeper into it as we move on. Our salaries and benefits, as you always know, are our top performers here, and you will notice some areas where there's a large decrease, and as you'll find out later in the presentation, a lot of that is because in equipment, we are planning on using our reserve from last year to pay for capital outlay and technology. But I think the most important thing about this slide is if you were to add together salaries and benefits, the increase in salary and benefits are more than our total increase than our budget is, the bottom line budget is tonight. And so how did we do that? Obviously you see a lot of negatives there, so a lot of effort on everybody's part. The next page is the pie chart, and a few people have asked me, can you please do this in a bar graph? And I said, sure. So the next one is the bar graph, and it shows you that benefits and salary are 76% of our salary. This is a great visual. You can see where the pillars are, and you see how some are very, very low and very high. Again, the same information. What are our LEA, local education agency drivers? Our salaries, our benefits, our student services, transportation, energy and utilities, and state mandates. And we will talk more about that as we move on. Quickly, I will break down for you the increase and decrease by object. So obviously in salaries, the largest increases are there, and in benefits. And as we go through each of the objects, you're going to learn more. This gives you a little bit of a better picture of by object versus the total budget. Budget summary, budget growth over time, so you can see where we've been in the last couple of years. At 24-25, we had a 5.88% LEA increase, which was $38,290,244. Last year with a 6.03 increase, which was a $2,309,756 increase. And this year we are proposing a 4.64% increase at $1,882,767 for a total of $42,482,767. And we will get to how we got to that number of benefits a little bit later in the presentation. So things that the budget process in October, it starts in October, and I gather all the information from the building principals and all of the departments and the directors, and they come to me and ask, and we have conversations about what they need, what they feel they need to run the schools and their departments. So we started off with a 7.2%, and then we adjusted. The superintendent's recommended budget was a 6.61, and this is now, as the Board of Education's proposed budget, is a 4.64. And how did we get to that number? We had to make additions, clearly, because we start in October. So you will learn more about our state partnership plan that we have we're entering into for our insurance, but we're still going to stay self-insured through dental, so there's a cost to that. So we had to add that back in. Our pension contribution adjustment, we get this from the town, that's what we owe. And then our projected FSA fees, which is flexible spending account, and we'll talk to you about that later as well. Reductions for teaching and stipend salaries, we were looking to add some positions. We understand that this may not be the right time to do it, so we decreased those positions. The Board of Education decreased those positions, and that saved us $355,760. Support staff salaries, so the first one is certified. Second, support staff, again, $174,000 decrease. Benefits, that was benefits in general over time. We were looking at a decrease in benefits to begin with, depending on who was sitting in our work, our work setting today. And that changes all the time. It'll change again, depending on if people take family or single and such. The other thing that we're going to talk a lot about in a little while is we budgeted for a 25% increase in benefits, and we said there's no way it's ever going over that. We have never had this happen, but that was the number we were given by our Alera brokers. Well, long story short, we are now at 23.71, but it was not an easy road. We went out to bid. Our first number was about 50%, and we'll explain that too as well. Supplies and instructional and non-instructional equipment, we had a cut of about $40,000. So our budget items to be funded by the surplus funds is $396,636 after we put in for, our portion for the field. So taking in all of the reserve, which you'll hear more about again later, it's going to be applied to technology and capital outlay. We will move on to salaries 100. This speaks for itself. I just want to let you know that we just negotiated a new teacher contract that begins July 2026, and then all contractual increases across all bargaining groups, and that's how we have that increase. The next, you have asked us before, and we just feel like we should just continue to give this to you so you know when we're coming up on contracts. If you have any questions about this slide later, Mrs. DeMoro can answer everything for you. And now I'd like to invite Dr. McLean up, because this is all return of investment. You're spending all of this money, what are you getting? In our situation, what are our kids getting? How does this look for our students over time? So Dr. McLean, our assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, is going to be very proud to share this data with you.
Yeah, when Dr. Macri asked me to share this, I said, absolutely, we can take a look at this data. This is why we're all here, and this is the success that we've had over the last couple years. If you take a look, this is AP success rate in Cromwell Public Schools. We are really, really proud of our students that take AP courses. College Board awards us with different distinctions each year based on how many students. So if you take a look at college culture, that's how many AP courses we offer, and like the different types of courses that students can take. The college credit category is about how many students are doing well enough on the AP exams to get college credits. And the college optimization one, which is a tough one, is that you have to have 2% of your overall graduating class that took 5 or more AP classes, one of which has to be in their freshman or sophomore year. It's not an easy category, but you can see that's where we're shining, and this chart is allowing you to see where we started a couple years ago and where we are headed now. And I think a lot of work has gone into making sure that we have prepared teachers and things like that, and the students are performing, which is excellent to see. This next slide is really just a graphic, and I have more straightforward information on the next slide about where our students are going to school. By far, we send students to UConn, which is a far more competitive school than it's ever been, really, and it's where we send the majority of our students. It beat out Central fairly recently, since 2022, and we still have, every year we have a handful of students that reach those elite universities and attend, an Ivy or a little Ivy. You can switch, and then this is just to give you kind of a list of where do Cromwell Public Schools students land after graduation. And so we've got students going all over the country into some really great schools. And a lot of them we keep right here in Connecticut, which is also pretty amazing.
Dr. McLean. That's it for now for Dr. McLean. She gets all the good stuff. Quickly, as we move on to the next slide, we'll get into this a little bit more. We are asking for only 2 staffing positions, which are 2 full-time registered behavior technicians and those are to support our students with behavioral needs, social emotional needs in the district. And we'll tell you more about that, and you can ask about those when Siri O'Leary comes up to the podium. Next, Object 200. I'm going to have, it's clear cut, but I want you to know the process that we went through because we are completely in a different insurance plan starting July 1st. So I'm going to have Michelle tomorrow, Michelle and Lori, Rosanna, who is not here. I cannot thank enough. This is, when I tell you, probably close to 100 hours of work. They've done an excellent job, and she can explain it very well.
Hi, everyone. So as Dr. Macri stated earlier, the superintendent's initial budget came in at 25%. We never anticipated that we would be having such a high number come from Cigna from its renewal rate. And so when we got that first initial renewal rate of 52.42%, we were very concerned, and we decided to go out to bid. And when we did go out to bid, there's only like maybe a handful of 4 to 5 insurance carriers in the state of Connecticut. And so there was one company that didn't even bid on our offer. And the ones that did come in, Cigna actually came in at 33.47, Anthem came in at 31.89. And at the time, the partnership plan before the Middlesex rates came out, we had to anticipate a range anywhere from 12 to 15%. So we went with a higher rate, which once you blend all the rates, it would have meant an increase of about 28.30%. So we did talk to all of our unions. We had some courageous conversations with all of them and basically said, you know, this is the time if you're looking to possibly go to the state partnership plan. And all of our unions did decide to go, and our board did also approve it. And we were very lucky that the state partnership plan for Middlesex County actually came in at the lower end, under 12%. It was like 11.5. And so that brought us down to 23.71% in benefits. As I said, we initially budgeted for 25%. So we had a little savings in that area. As Dr. Macri also stated, there is a slight fee for an FSA. And what an FSA card is, just so you know, there's a little difference. It's called a flexible spending account card. And so we basically have to work with our broker to find a company to help monitor this card, and there's monthly fees involved. So to offer this card to our employees, there is a fee, and so that's one of the added costs in the budget.
Wow, all that work summed up into like 2 minutes. Impressive, right? It was quite fun. So just to give you an idea, benefits. This is where we've been over years. So when I heard the 25% number, I heard it since I got here. I'm like, yeah, right, it'll go down, it'll go down. It didn't go down, and honestly, we were able to take a look at some of the claims, and we want to provide our people with the support that they need, and they definitely need. It's pretty sad, and the claims are through the roof. But just wanted to let you know that if we got the same, if we did the same increase as we had last year, which was 7%, I'd be coming to you tonight with a 2.7% overall increase in the budget. So the rest of it is all benefits. Okay, and the next object is professional technical services, object 300. Again, you're going to see negative here, and this is really about a decrease in student services budget. So we have students who have graduated and left the district, and then we also have seen students who are staying within our district, and then we have a decrease, some decrease in curriculum development, but not too much. We also made a change, as like I said, Mr. Butwell, when he says, this doesn't really fit here, I think it fits better here, I said, do it. Even though it may be a little complicated to understand, but we'll explain it to you. We shifted instructional and program improvement. It was in line 322. We feel that it should have been in 330. So, and other technical services, and we moved about $100,000 into that line. So it's just a switch in line, and you'll see this in the executive summary. And now I'll invite Mrs. Sari O'Leary, our Director of Student Services, to explain our efforts to reduce student costs over time.
Hi, everyone. So these things that we have in place on this slide are either things that we've already started or plan on either continuing or starting as new initiatives for next year. So I'll just go through them. We've really worked hard on our specialized classrooms for students with more intensive needs at ECS and WIS, as well as CMS and CHS. Specifically, ECS and WIS, we've added a full-time BCBA last year for this school year that has really impacted the students greatly in for our students at ECS with the, our most needy population. And what we're trying to do is, as always, keep students in district, which ends up reducing costs. So with that added BCBA support, the students are getting more behavioral support throughout the day, the teachers are getting more training, and the staff then in turn keeping kids in. Next year, as Dr. Macri mentioned, we're looking for 2 registered behavior technicians, RBTs as we call them, one to support at ECS and one to support at WIS. They're basically assistants, I'll call them in layman's terms, to the BCBA. They provide training, support to paraprofessionals, staff in the buildings. They provide support with programming for students with special needs. They handle behavioral crisis situations, supporting